News intelligence and national security reporter Ken Dilanian. And Ken, we had a briefing late last night. They talked about the different locations where they have been able to gather evidence. What can you tell us about this investigation at this stage?
That's right, Chris. And at that briefing, they noted that they had searched the suspect's home in Reno in northwest Nevada, and they seemed to suggest they had pulled out some information that could be relevant to motive, but they weren't prepared to discuss it at this time. So we're waiting for that. As you said, motive is the big question here. Why did he do it? And especially because his profile is so different from what we've seen before with mass shooters. Generally, with mass shooters, a day or two after the fact, we see some evidence of alienation, of mental illness. There were people along the way who saw signs. In this case, we're not seeing any of that. What we're seeing is a prosperous 64-year-old man who apparently was making his living as a professional gambler, who may have been worth $2 million, according to his family, who lived in a retirement home, who had pilot's licenses, took vacations, seemed to be living the American dream. And we see no evidence of a criminal record, no evidence of extremism, no public social media posts that we're aware of. And so it's a huge mystery why he did this. The other big question, of course, is the weaponry. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to ask you about, because nobody that we have talked to seems to say that he was in any way a gun enthusiast, and yet he did this bump stock or had someone do it. I suppose that's also a possibility. How does that change a weapon, Ken?
This is a really important factor, and I should say there's still some unanswered questions about this. Pete Williams has confirmed that the authorities believe he purchased 2 bump stocks. They have not said officially that he used them in the attack, but a bump stock is a device that would modify a semi-automatic rifle to allow it to fire rapidly, mimicking an automatic weapon. It doesn't technically make it a machine gun, and that's why it's legal, because machine guns, as you may know, are banned since 1986. You can't buy one except under special circumstances. So this bump stock, though, is just a device that harnesses the energy of the recoil of the rifle that allows the gun to essentially fire itself at a much faster pace than a human being could pull the trigger. And if he was using those, that could explain the rapid fire pace that we all heard on those horrific tapes. And, there's going to be an analysis of whether that played a role in so many casualties, because he was just pouring fire down onto that crowd. And there's already a debate about why these things are legal and whether they should be banned, Chris.
Ken Dilanian, thank you for that. And up next, we're